Yo, what's going on everybody? Gray here, and today I am excited to be bringing you our retrospective wrap-up review of the Immortals of Olympus update for Marvel Future Fight. Today we are going to be breaking up the entire update from its tippy top to its very bottom, going over all the different categories from uniforms to events to game modes, giving those an average score, and then averaging those together for a final score for the update, which then compare to other updates throughout the year. If that sounds like something you're into, you're in the right place. Please keep in mind as we go into this is 100% my opinion. I'm doing this for fun and also in a little way to critique things, and maybe we can help this game get better over time in the best case scenario. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content, and let's go ahead and jump into this thing, y'all. Let's go. All right, we are just going to start by, boom, looking at our first uniform. We're going to jump straight into the characters here, and the first one we are going to look at is going to be Venus / Aphrodite. Looking at this character, she is not great, and when we get to the slide breaking down everything all together, we'll really be able to see why she's not great. You can see her lead is for Olympus allies only, and it is debuff removal on the leadership. She also has a support passive at tier 2, but it is also for Olympian allies only, increasing basic damage to supervillains by 45 and decreasing basic damage received from supervillains by 35, which is actually a decent support, but keep in mind, it's Olympus allies only. Other than that, she's got a basic kit, and she's very, very free to play friendly with no uniform. You can get her from anywhere in the game just from biometrics. So overall, a reasonable character, but I'm going to save the scores for the card, and we'll just keep moving on. I'm basically just going to do a quick breakdown of each of these characters that we got during the update itself. Next, we'll take a look at Athena here. Bump her up to the maximum build here. Looking at Athena, she's a bit more interesting to me as a support. She applies to all allies as opposed to Olympian allies with all her supports. Basic defense for the lead, not very exciting, but this is exciting. On her 4-star passive, not tier 2, 4-star passive applies to all allies, all basics by 25, and supervillain damage dealt to supervillains by 45. This is a spectacular support in my opinion, simply because it is free to play friendly. You do have to farm Dimension Shifter bios for her tier 2. You don't want to use a Mega tier 2 ticket, which I 100% recommend you do. She's very, very good. You don't even need the tier 2 to support, and she does not have to support aliens or Olympian allies. She can support anybody. This is actually a fantastic support. I kind of consider the base kind of like worst support, or like the baseline for a support, 40% damage, whether it's villains, heroes, whatever. But 40% is sort of the baseline. So to get the extra all attack and then 5% extra is quite nice in my opinion. Plus she's a looker, man. There you go. All right, moving on here. Next we got Zeus, the Juice himself here. Looking at Zeus, this one's actually interesting. We didn't get his tier 4 until the mid-month update, so we had him at tier 380 for a while, and some people were testing him there, but now we do have him at full-on tier 4, and he is very strong. He covers a lot of days in Alliance battle, does tons of PvE damage. Not a ton to go over in his kit. I guess the biggest things to point out here are that he did get but several PvP abilities like super armor, all basic defense increase, decreased basic damage received, and then he also has Iframe ignore on his 4th skill, as well as penetration, as well as invincible. Very much a PvP skill as far as the effects on it, but also does a ton of damage. So an interesting sort of hybrid setup for this character, but again, we'll sort of break down how things landed with a score once we get to the scorecard. But anyways, that's pretty much Zeus. He's going to be an AB meta. Can go to tier 4 now, does absolute metric tons of damage, and that's pretty much what you got with your boy. He is the final character from the Epic Quest that was introduced in this update, so you are going to have to build several other characters to tier 2 in order to unlock him, one of which is the deluxe character from that Epic Quest, which is going to cost the crystals, so he is locked behind that deluxe pack itself. All right, moving on. Speaking of the deluxe pack, y'all, we got Hades here, and Hades is interesting. I was tempted to give this guy a 10 out of 10 just based on his balding alone. I figure that is the most savage levels of balding and honestly eye makeup that we've maybe seen in the game. But then I realized that those weren't very good criteria for scoring an update. So let's just look at what he brought to the game. And that's going to be a self-buffing lead. He's sort of an alliance battle character, PvE oriented, chain hit damage, skill damage, bonus damage type stuff on his passive. And then some standard sort of, you know, just your basic attacks. You got accumulation, I think. Yeah, accumulation. Does have invincible there. Does have a heal. Has a self buff there. So pretty basic stuff. No iframe ignore. I don't think he has any penetration, if I'm not mistaken. And the thing about Hades is he does have a little gimmick where when you use his tier 3 skill and then you do his rotation on top of the ground effect from the tier 3 skill, it is improved and he gets slightly better skill effects even, and then more damage. But the thing about our guy Hades is he just didn't come in doing a lot of damage. Excuse me, Hades / Pluto. Is he didn't come into the game doing a ton of damage. He does is respectable damage, and maybe it's not that he doesn't do enough damage and more that Loki does too much when you've mastered playing him. But it was a bit disappointing to me that his scores at best were kind of competitive with top tier Loki scores, and I always try to make it clear that that means like a max build on Loki and Bob Sarge piloting Loki. Which is not what most of us are dealing with. So anyways, covering one day of Alliance battle with the Alien Villain Day. All these characters from the Epic Quest are aliens, all these gods. So they covered those days in Alliance battle, and it's just the one day for your boy Hades, the Alien Villain Day, competing with Loki, and another new character, or uniform, that we'll get to here shortly. So anyways, nothing too special, but we'll break him down a little more when we get to the scorecard. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, we got Hercules. Let's talk about Hercules. Hercules sucks, y'all. He's really bad. Most of us know that by now. He is not good at all. He brings essentially nothing to the game. I'm like an ultra optimist when it comes to characters. I play AC on a free-to-play account that's less than a year old. So trust me, if anybody's looking for value in these characters, it's ya boy. I wanted this guy to be good. No uniform required. Knew he was probably going to lean into PvP. And what we got was an absolute blister on your butt cheek. This guy is not good at all. He brings no sauce. Essentially what it comes down to is he has no immortality. He has no revive. The theme across the update, they really wanted to lock in that theme of no immortality, no revive. And he also just does no damage. So between not being able to live and not being able to kill anything, that literally makes him useless. And when we get to the scorecard, you'll see that reflected. He's got some skills that do some things. He has iframe ignore. He has healing over time like Wolverine. He does have PvP abilities. He has barrier. He's got fracture. You know, he removes buffs, or excuse me, buffs from targets. So he does have like the incapacitation effect. But yeah, just none of it hits hard enough to do anything. And he dies very, very quickly. So I am able to use him in Alliance Conquest against like the worst teams. Basically what this guy, let me break this down. I think this is the best way to actually capture his actual value in this game. So when I'm playing AC, there'll be teams that aren't necessarily PvP characters, but they're iframe characters. They're characters that dance around in iframes like Okoye, like Red Goblin, right? A character like Hercules, because he has iframe ignore, can stop that. So he can dash in, use his iframe ignore, break through those iframes, and allow your team to kill the enemy team. So that's literally all this guy is on my account. He is an iframe ignore attack to literally just cancel an iframe in Alliance Conquest. So there you go. That's going to do it. I'll quit harping on your guy. I haven't really talked about any of the artifacts for these characters. Let me just assure you that they are all relatively uninteresting. They are not good. So there you go. They are really standard artifacts, mostly attack, things like that. A couple of them are good, like Zeus or Hades or maybe Ares, because they are Alliance battle metas. But outside of that, these characters are terrible. I think I clicked on the wrong button there. That's okay. We're going to cheat. Shh. We're going to go in here. We're going to pull it up. My bad. All right. So looking at Ares, right? This is the next one we're going to take a look at. And Ares was the other. He was from the mid-month update and came in swinging. This guy is a pretty good uniform on a character we already had. Remains a supervillain, even though they said superhero in the patch notes. He is a villain in this uniform. And he is Alliance battle meta-ish. And let me explain. I'm pretty sure Gladiator can still outscore this guy. If you have Gladiator with a max build and you're good at playing him, even though he's a bit difficult to play from my understanding, I don't own him, but that's what people say, then I believe Gladiator still outscores Ares by just a touch. I think that Ares is outscored on Alien Villain by both Hades slash Pluto and Loki with a max build and Bob Sarge at the helm. But he has a really respectable score on that day. He also competes with Hulk. And I've had like back and forth info. I don't want to tell you guys the wrong thing. I don't want to say he obliterates Hulk's scores because I don't think that's true. I think it just kind of depends on build, but I do think Ares is better on those days. So what Ares is that's so good is for newer or free-to-play players or people who don't have Gladiator, don't have Pluto or Hades, don't have a build on Loki or don't know how to play him, or maybe don't have a good build on their Hulk or he's built for PvP. He covers like total, and without Mephisto, if you don't have Mephisto built, he covers I think 5 days total. That's a stretch because you probably have one of those characters built or many of them to work on those days, but he just covers so many days and puts up pretty dang good scores. So this really is quite a unit of a uniform if you ask me, because I value things like how good are uniforms for new players and what do they let you dodge as far as really expensive purchases. And that's something this guy does incredibly well. If you think about that, he gives you the ability to potentially not build for one day Mephisto, but you should build Mephisto. You could use him for Alien Villain. You could not build Gladiator, and you're looking at saving thousands of crystals by building the guy. So I'm a huge fan of Ares. I am building him up myself. Basically, he just got a good Alliance battle rework. His kit is great. He's got the accumulation. He's got the buffs. It's a pretty easy rotation. He is a transcended potential character, which is interesting and nice to see a transcended potential character showing up in Alliance battle, putting up good scores. Very, very nice. So, excuse me. So Ares, definitely one of the less smelly character upgrades in this update, in my humble opinion. All right, we got to go back now. And I got to find us Cho, man. I had this all lined up. Did you guys see that? It was going so well. We were going through each character on the home screen. I had them all lined up, and then Ares screwed up our whole thing. Anyhow, jokes aside, can I get to the universe tab from here? I don't even think we can. Well, that's okay. We don't need to, because Cho is very boring. Amadeus Cho got a support uniform for the mid-month update. It changes him to a speed type hero from a combat character. And the uniform effect that he gets is 40% basic damage dealt to supervillains. This is it. You don't even need to talk about his kit. If you're trying to use him as a DPS, you're an insane person. Shadowlands for that, please. He is a 40% support. Thing about this uniform, he covers a day or two, depending on the set. Well, no, 2 days. I keep confusing myself. He covers 2 days in Alliance battle. 1 ABX, 1 ABL. Thing about these days is I do not believe there is an alternative for either of those days. So I just want to be clear about this uniform. I think it's terrible. I think it's an awful uniform. It is a terrible support. It is not good enough for where we're at in the game, but in some cases it's kind of a must buy just because there's no alternative. It wins by default. Good job, Cho. Everybody loves it when you just win the consolation prize for showing up. And that's basically what Cho did. Is he won the consolation prize by showing up. So there you go. There's really not much else to tell you about his skills or anything. He stole Hercules' mace because that's literally how much of a wimp Hercules is. This dude took his lunch money and his mace, although you shouldn't underestimate, skinny, short people. There's no reason they can't mug you and take your weapons. There we go. All right, guys, so that's all the uniforms. Moving on from the uniforms, let's talk about the events. This update landed during Black Friday this year, which means we got all kinds of extra events, sales, all that stuff. I won't be talking about real money sales of any kind in this video. I don't like weighing those into my scoring of an update anyways, let alone I'm a free-to-play player, so I have no frame of reference. I'd be just making stuff up. We're not going to talk about that. I'm not going to talk about every event. I'm just going to talk about the major ones. Obviously, we can't talk about them all here in game because they're not running anymore. But we got a selector tier 4 event where we had an event quest where we were able to get a tier 4 selector from it, which is very, very nice. We got a crystal vault event, which I'll break down a little more on the scorecard. which was mixed in my opinion, and we'll get there. We got the secret shop that we get every anniversary or Black Friday. We were given a special pass, and I did put that there even though there's no gameplay involved. It's still missions that you do in the game for rewards technically, so that was sort of an extra event, so I did add that and score it. And then we got the growth support event where you got the tier 4 discount on a native tier 2 or tier 1 character, or infinite tier 3 or transcendent potential character discount. And that is a nice event, and obviously for that on the scorecard. The other thing we have going right now that I did not put on the scorecard is the Cosmic Core. And the reason I didn't put the Cosmic Core on the scorecard is because it's a really standard event. It is increased. It's like a slightly better Cosmic Core right now because of Black Friday. But honestly, I didn't see that as anything outside of the norm. Really, as we always get Cosmic Core, and the only difference here is a slightly increased chance to get CTPs and stuff like that. So I left that one out. And then I think, yeah, the Collector's Hall was last update, so nothing to talk about there. And other than that, it was just various events that are basically free stuff, and I don't score free stuff events. All right, so we'll go over those a little more on the scorecard, but I just want to kind of break down. It was Black Friday. We got some pretty good events. Yeah, but we'll break those down on the scorecard. The other thing we got that we should talk about in-game are the changes to Alliance Battle. Now, there are two things to talk about here, and I did separate them scoring this. We got both the Alliance Battle Infinite Challenge mode, which is a new game mode essentially in the game, but we also got a rework to the days and requirements of Alliance Battle. So we're going to look at those things, one as a game mode rework and one as a new game mode added to the game. Alliance Battle Infinite, I'm not mad at it. I think this is kind of fun. It's a little bit like, oh, we were struggling, so we just put the world bosses in here, but it does have some nuance to it. I think it's fun. It's not balanced well. The rewards aren't balanced well at all. I get less rewards than I used to from Alliance Battle, Extreme, and Legend together. And anyone with a built account with like 25% Pierce, CTPs, that kind of stuff, can score really, really high in this game mode and get premium chest fragments that people are speculating that Netmarble doesn't want us to be getting so easy, and that's why they're changing some of this stuff. But basically, that's what it is. It's a different game mode. You don't run normal, extreme, and legend. You just run this on Fridays and Saturdays as of now. That is changing, which is one thing I'm pretty disappointed about with this update, and we'll talk about that on the scorecard. But as of now, we get this for Friday and Saturdays. It has no requirements day one of those days, and then a blast, speed, combat, or universal for the other day throughout the month. And then they reworked all the requirements and all the days for Extreme and Legend. I'll show you really quick here. It's no longer like a 14-day cycle. Now it is a 28-day cycle. So there are different requirements for every day for 28 days. That's true for Alliance Battle Extreme and Alliance Battle Legend. I have mixed feelings about this, but overall, I gotta say, for sure a W, just in terms of keeping the game fresh. A big change like that is great. This game is 10 years old. It's really nice to see things really mixed up, doing something kind of brave and bold that isn't necessarily gonna land well, and makes pretty sweeping changes to one of the most, I would say, like, active game modes in the game. Like, you actually really participate here. This isn't a clear ticket game mode. This is one where people are pretty competitive about scores. And the other thing, while we're here, I will say, I gotta harp on this pretty much every chance I get. They did not change the weekly rewards here, and they are still so bad. I'm not gonna get on a rant. I won't do it. I'm not gonna rant. This is unexcusable, and this needs to change. It is literally so easy to change this, and these are just the most diabolically bad rewards for a game mode that you have to invest the most in. Now there is officially no game mode that requires more investment than Alliance Battle. This game mode is heavy. Anyways, so I'd love to see Crystals for All. That's my campaign. Vote for me. Crystals for All. Monthly or weekly from Alliance Battle. Anyways, let's get out of here. I'm getting on a tangent. So yeah, we got the new days. We got the new 28-day schedule, and we got Alliance Battle Infinite as far as the game modes go. The other things we got, another one that's actually really, really crucial to the game. I think it was a huge addition to the game. I think the biggest problem with it is that it came late. I think a lot of people have been waiting way too long for this. They added a pity a pity gauge to reforging CTPs. So when you're looking for brilliant CTPs, you can see here, we went for our first brilliant CTP on Black Friday. Not even a year in as a free to play, and we missed. But now we've got 5 out of 50 on our pity, meaning we do this an absurd amount more times, burn up about 3,000 CTPs. No, I'm just joking. But a bunch more, and we'll get a brilliant guaranteed when we get to the end of this, and then it'll reset. Or if we succeed at getting a brilliant, it'll reset. But this is a huge addition, man. People were going like 30, 40, 50 attempts at brilliance in rare cases without getting them. And that is just so painful. I can't even imagine the hurt from doing that. So yeah, there you go. The CTP Reforge Pity was added to the game, and I think that is an absolutely massive W for the game. And then, of course, the last thing that was added to the game that we got to talk about is the Epic Quest itself. And we'll go to the scorecard here in just a second, and I'll talk about this a little more, but just as a sort of like, I guess we'll call it a game mode, because it technically is an addition to a game mode. We'll break down the individual components of this, but we got the, it's a whole thing with the collectibles. You've got Zeus you can unlock by getting all these heroes to tier 2. You can see I am a crazy person, and I actually bought this as a free-to-play, which is Psycho. But anyways, and then you get some missions. This one unlocks through the Deluxe pack, all that stuff. So your standard fare with an Epic Quest, and we will now head over to our scorecard, start breaking all this down with some actual numbies, so we can start looking at the total score for this update. How we looking? There we go. Let's go ahead and move my face just right out the gate. There we go. We're breaking the rules. We're going in the top right for you guys. All right, ain't that confusing. Let's break this thing down. We can see the whole scorecard now. This will work with my head over there. So the first thing I'll touch on, man, we did a 2-week penalty last time. We gave them a whole point off the score because they added 2 extra weeks to the update. One of them they told us was coming, and then the other one it was just like, well, we did it once and you guys didn't riot, so we're just gonna do it again and not tell you. So they added 2 extra weeks to the last update, took an entire point off for that. This time, they added an extra week. They added Black Friday events to make it look like, woo, we're just extending Black Friday. No, you added another week and you tried to do it in this weird, sneaky way. If you need more development time, just take more development time. Tell us what's going on. It's fine. We don't hate you because you can't hire a ton of employees. If you guys need a little extra time, just say, we need an extra week here. We're going to give you extra events to try and keep it fun. But none of that happened. They didn't tell us, it just happened, and the schedule is all messed up and things are crazy. So anyways, I'll shut up. But the point is, you guys are getting another half a point off for no communication. It's just brutal. All you got to do is tell us what's going on. It really, really stinks. This game is about planning your account, planning for the future of the game, planning what you're going to purchase, saving crystals, all that kind of stuff. So when you just drive the car off the freeway randomly with no turn signal, it freaks people out and it's not fun. That's not a fun thing. Not the kind of like spice or heat we like in our updates. Anyways, moving on. Let's talk about the uniforms, man. And we're just going to start with our boy Hercules here. Dude gets a 2. Yeah, a 2 out of 10. 2. He's terrible. He would get a 1 if he was literally broken. I mean, skills don't work, like cannot function, like you use his skills and the game crashes, or they literally do zeros when you attack or something. That would be a 1. What we got instead is a 2, which means barely usable. Barely usable. The only reason he's usable is literally because of the one line ignores iframe, whatever, how it reads in the game. It's worded differently. Without that, he would be so stinky. He would have 0 uses in the game. And not only that, guys, but the reason he just gets a solid 2, I would give him a 1 if I could do it in good conscience, like I said, but he actually like works. His skills are executable. He's an Epic Quest like lead character. The comparisons for him are characters like Sentry, Wolverine, Deadpool. Characters that, yeah, have unis now, but are so good in comparison. So good. It's insane. Like, they make this guy look like the biggest, stinkiest turd on Earth. So no, sir, you cannot go the distance. You can't even go out your front door without falling down. You're an absolute disgrace. Get out of here, bro. Moving on, we got Venus, and I actually think maybe I was a little too nice here. I think this is a low 4 and maybe should have been a 3. And the main reason for that is everyone else let her down. She has nothing to do. None of these characters are good in PvP, and she is a PvP support, so she's homeless. This poor, sweet girl has nothing to do except stand around and be a looker, which almost, ew. I just thought of that. That seems gross. Anyways, yeah, she's relatively useless. So low 4, high 3 maybe. She can't be like a 3 or a 2, right? Because she has a support ability that you can use, right? So she has a thing that she does, and then she's also free, and so new players could use her as like a clear for early game or something. I don't know. She doesn't need a uniform. She's like a man thing or an icon, but they're probably better. I don't know. Anyways, looking at this 4, it seems high, but we're going with a 4. We're going to give Athena a 6. I think that's really fair. I think a 5 being an average support, she's above average. I think even a high 6 is fair of her, but I didn't want to be, you know, she's one of my favorite characters in the update. Wanted to make sure I wasn't over favoring her. Didn't want to give her the 7. I think a 6 is just nice. She's better than your average support. She's easy to pick up. And yeah, there you go. Good typing. She's got that alien type, so she can support the aliens, but her support is still all allies, which is really nice. Moving on to Hades. He's going to get a 6 as well. And probably a high 6. And even though I own Hades now, I don't have him built, so I don't have experience playing with him. But from what I've seen, like, if he was bringing, like, outscoring everybody for that day, maybe he'd get a 7, like, if his scores were really impressive. But the thing is, he only covers the one day, the alien villain day. You can use him in a team up with Mephisto and I think Hela to get an extra 5th skill co-op for Mephisto, but that's not the kind of value we're really weighing here. Mainly, he just kind of underwhelms on that alien villain day, and the fact that Loki, with a max build and a Bob Sarge at the helm, can outscore him, or could. I actually haven't checked on that in like a week or 2, maybe. So I don't know if that's changed, if people got better at Pluto. But yeah, not terrible, not amazing, probably a little above average. Maybe if I really was like in a bad mood, could have been a 5. Because it's kind of average. He's a deluxe pack character. Yeah, we'll call it a 6 because I can't change this right now, but looking at it, if I was grumpy, I think he'd get even a 5. Just because he doesn't apply many places. He really has limited use, and even on that limited day, man, he should have dwarfed Loki. He should have just made Loki sit down. Done with you, but that's not what happened. Anyways, moving on. I got a sip of my coffee here, y'all. There we go. Much better. Looking at Zeus, man. Zeus is an interesting one. Zeus, to me, could have been an 8. He could have been a high 8. If he had immortality or revive, if he had any way to utilize all that delicious PvP value that he was given, I want to know what happened. Something has to have happened. Either they were too strong and they removed immortality. There's no way they made this whole quest like this from the bottom up. Why does this guy have iframe ignore? Like, he's built like he should have immortality or something. His defense is low. He gets like 30% basic defense or something like that, which is pretty low for PvP stats. So he would have been a little squishy, but with immortality, he could have like popped up with some lightning and maybe an otherworld battle, got you some kills, team battle arena, made a team with Venus, I don't know, and Hercules. I mean, there's a team here. So where'd you guys drop the ball? What happened? I know it's not a great team. I'm not getting into the specifics of her having to be the lead or anything like that, which is so dumb. She has to be the lead. Actually, I am going to get into the specifics. She has to be the lead, so you can't use his 40% HP lead because you have to use Venus. I'm talking like Team Battle Arena, 3-person team here. You could use Zeus if he had immortality, right? But he has that nice juicy 60% lightning damage lead. Couldn't use that either because you got to use hers for the debuff removal. Anyways, the point is that doesn't happen. That's some alternate timeline. That's variance that I don't exist. These guys don't have immortality to revive, so they're useless in PvP. Zeus maybe claps someone with the force. You know what I mean? Like, Zeus might get the force skill off in Otherworld battle and kill somebody. But then he is fallen over, man. He's going to get nuked. It's just how that's going to go. But he gets a 7. I'm sorry, I got a little distracted there. He gets a 7. scores really well in Alliance Battle. He's an Alliance Battle Giga Chad. I'm happy to have him. I have to make this video like I don't have knowledge of the next update, but I do. Oh my god. So we'll leave that out. But yeah, Zeus is good, man. He gets really good scores. I think a 7 is a fair score for him. Moving on to Cho, he gets a 5. Again, this is kind of generous in my opinion. He could have been a 4, but at best, Amadeus Cho is a 5. He is average. Vanilla Ice Cream is actually really good. He's just average, man. Average bear. He gets a 5. The support could have been a lot better. It almost feels like they just went with the bare minimum because there was no alternative, which in a way, I'm not throwing shade, like that makes sense because that gives you room to build. The next speed male support that comes out will be better than Cho. And if Cho was really good, then that support either wouldn't be able to exist or would have to be really, really good. So it's just kind of a baseline for those days, but certainly nothing exciting. So an average 5. 7 for Ares. I think this is a good character. I had to kind of restrain myself here. There's no way he's better, right? You know what I mean? Like Zeus brings Giga Chad scores. Ares does not, but Ares brings lots of scores to lots of days and brings utility for free-to-play new player characters that cannot be new player. Yeah, new player characters. That's what I said. New players in the game that cannot be denied. And for that, I believe a 7 is a good score for him. He scores well, covers lots of days, has good typings. Yeah, easy to play for the most part. So really good uniform in my opinion with a 7. Average all those together, man, you get a 5.2. Not a good score, and I bet you can guess why. It's up here at the first ones we looked at, that's why. Moving on, we'll talk about the events, man. The secret shop, I gotta give it an 8 or a 9. What else can you do? It's different, it's interactive, it has good rewards, people look forward to it. Yeah, it's expensive. Yeah, it consumes some of your time, but I like that you can min-max it if you check the shop every half hour. Anyways, I've never actually participated in this. Oh, but I'm familiar with it because, excuse me, I've been playing for years. Everyone talks, are you doing the secret shop? Are you doing the secret shop? Are you doing the secret shop? It's fun. It's like a classic, great event. We get it twice a year, a solid 8 from me, and I think that's fair. Room to improve, because sure, it could be better. So there you go. The Crystal Vault. Let's talk about this. And this one's interesting. This was a weird event. We've had it at least once before. I was not playing for that. That would have been last Black Friday. When it came around last time, there was a gold element to it. The polls, basically you poll, you get 3 polls a day on this, and you have a chance to get 30 crystals, 50 crystals, 100 crystals, 1,000 crystals, 2,000 crystals, 5,000 crystals. I think that was actually it too. And before there was an option where you could hit gold. So people were really disappointed in this event because people were just like getting gold. Some people were getting hundreds, thousands of crystals, and other people were getting gold. And that feels terrible. So they removed the gold this year. W, that's awesome. But this event is still not good in my opinion. I have to like let go the fact that it is a crystal event and it gives us crystals. That's great. And because of that, it gets towards a 4 or a 5. But if I'm going to be critical of this event, there's a few things about it that I think were really, really bad. First of all, the feeling of getting 30 crystals every time, the whole time, literally logging in and getting 30 crystals every time feels bad, man. It's not great. So just like the format of this isn't awesome. You basically get to check in and not get the cool thing 3 times a day. You know what I'm saying? And that's not the worst, right? But I don't think that's great. So I'm not a fan of the whole format of this event, to be honest. And then the other issue here is these rewards were limited. So like once all of them were acquired, there was actually a number of like I think it was 10 5,000 crystal rewards, 20 2,000 crystal rewards, 100 1,000, you know, something like that, right? Once they were gone, the event ended. And it ended a full, I think, almost 2 days early. And I had to shout out to people, yo, go pull your crystals because this thing is about to evaporate. And it did. It ended like a day and a half early. And that's doesn't feel good either. So there was just a lot of like not feel good around this event. And if I separate myself from the fact that it was a crystal event, I just don't think it was good. I think it could be good, but it needs changes to be good. In its current state, it's not. I think I ended up, let's just say I'm salty. If you think this score is too low, just blame it on me being salty because I got 50 crystals once and the rest was 30 crystals. So for me, this paid out very little, like not even as much as the 300 crystal on the 48-day check-in. So for me, not a great event. Many improvements could be made to it. I'm glad they made improvements to it. Thumbs up, Netmarble, but keep trying, in my opinion. The event quest here for the tier 4 selector, this one would be a 5 or a 6, probably a 6, but bumps up to a 7 because of the rewards. A tier 4 selector is amazing. I think it's great. Lets people get really excited starting the game with a really strong character. I think that's super fun. Also, for the rest of us, a free tier 4 is nice. Maxed accounts, this isn't so great, so I'm not going to jump this up in the 8 territory just because we're getting a tier 4. The event itself, you know, passable, sort of like average kind of stuff. Do these things, get these tokens, buy this thing, right? That's a pretty standard event, but gets a higher score because they gave us some really generous rewards here. And actually, to their credit, not that it matters at all, some different mission requirements. Like we had to do some slightly different stuff for this one, and it was kind of unique. It also went on for a long time. It's still active now, and it's giving me 100 energy a day. So I got my tier 4, and then it kept giving out. You can either take, I think there was Godstone, Demiurge, energy, and gold, and you could kind of take some extra rewards as well. So just a nice little event, man. Maybe a 6. I gave it a 7. Special pass, this has to get a 5 from me just because it is literally just play the game, get rewards. And you could argue that's what the event quest was, but the rewards here are so good with the tier 4 and then the continued 100 energy a day and all that, that I was comfortable just giving the special pass a 5. Could have been a 6. We got a CTP here and a tier 3 selector. So really good for new players, okay for mid-tier players, and then kind of meh for advanced accounts. They don't really care. So pretty average. Just a regular old special pass. We've seen a bunch of this. There was nothing unique about it. Yeah, just a CTP and a, let's be fair, a CTP, an Odin's Blessing chest, a random OB, and a tier 3 character selector from a small pool of tier 3 characters. And then the last thing to talk about is the growth support event, and this was the one where you could get a discount 20% this time around on a native tier 2, tier 4 character. So tier 4ing a native tier 2 character. You could also take another option, which was infinite 25% discount on tier 3 or transcendent potential characters. This is a great event. It's fun, man. Like everyone plans on it when we're doing account help. We're like, oh, what are you going to do for this event? Oh, save this for that. Make sure you've got a native tier 2. Everyone plans for it. Some people are like, nah, dude, I'm spicy. I'm doing tier 3s this year. And they're saving up books and stuff to do a bunch of tier 3s. I just think this is a fun event. It's not the greatest thing ever. I'm talking it up like it's amazing. The rewards are good. The 20% discount is very, very nice on a native tier 2, tier 4. And yeah, like I said, it's just kind of a fun event because it creates community and talk in the game, and I think that's important. So anyway, 6.2 average for all the events. Pretty nice. The Crystal Vault, I was a bit harsh, and same with the Special Pass. You could give these a slightly higher score, I think, if you really wanted to. But I don't know, man. Crystal Vault made me a little salty with ending early and generally giving pretty bad rewards. Next, we'll look at the game modes and reworks, and this one's interesting. Alliance Battle Infinite. Let's just go with the 7. I like it. I love that they're adding game modes. I love a new PvE game mode. I like how they put it on the weekends. I think that was a good choice. I think they should keep it the way it is with no restrictions and then a restrictions day on Friday and Saturday. I have no clue why they are changing this again. And that is, again, part of, I forgot to mention that, that's part of why they're getting a half a point off for the no communication penalty. They introduced all these changes on Black Friday, and we're all like, nice, we're going to get all these new uniforms to adjust for these changes. And then they notified us, oh, by the way, on December 10th in the next update, we're going to add some more changes, and we're going to be removing 4 of the Alliance Battle Infinite days. We don't know which days. Of course, I assume it's the no restrictions, and we don't know what they're adding in place of those. I assume it's no restrictions ABX, ABL, but we don't know. So now we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if we bought the wrong unis. I don't think we did. I don't think it's going to be like that. Like I said, I think we're swapping no requirements for no requirements. But the only reason I can think of, and that most people landed on that they would be doing this, is that for people not like me, who can't get better rewards from ABI, but people with built accounts are getting premium chest fragments too easily. And they didn't want that happening 4 times a month, or excuse me, 8 times a month. They wanted it to happen 4 times a month instead of just changing the way the scoring works or making some extra rewards to put those fragments further out of reach. I can't even imagine, but I guess we'll find out on the 10th. Anyway, so Alliance Battle Infinite gets a 7. As a game mode, I think it's good. And I'm judging it on 4 days, excuse me, 8 days, not 4. And, you know, in the state it's in, I think it's a 7. Not a high 7, because I don't think the actual game mode itself is incredible, but it is pretty good. It's pretty fun, man. It's pretty fun. It's got some of its own strategies and stuff that you got to work out. And then let's talk about the Alliance Battle rework. I gave this a 6. This could have been a lot higher. I see a lot of problems with what they did here, and I'm not going to get overly negative about it because, like I said, I think all in all, this is really positive, and that's why it gets like a 6. Call it a high 6, whatever you want, for Alliance Battle. But some of the negative things I see here are, one, the 28-day cycle makes opportunities for a lot of like 1 day a month uniforms, and that does not feel good. Maybe spenders don't mind this. They don't mind having all these different characters to build and line up. But from a free-to-play perspective, if you start chopping up Alliance Battle into 1 day a month setups, it's going to get unaffordable. It's going to get irritating. Like characters like, days like the Inhuman Day they added force me to buy an Inhuman uniform that is not good in any other day. So the only times that's not going to feel yucky are if that Inhuman's uniform is good enough to cover other days. But in its current state, that uniform is not. It's like Kamala Khan or Black Bolt, and that's all they're for. So buying uniforms for 1 day of the month just doesn't feel good, and unfortunately this rework sets us up for that. It also makes for like complicated charts as far as the meta for people to follow. It makes it a little harder for people to figure out what they need to build, complicates things dramatically for new players. It makes things much more difficult to understand as far as what the heck this even is, how you build for it, which is okay in some ways, because this is, you know, you could think of it as kind of an end game thing, like having everything covered, but it's kind of not. It's kind of what we're doing. It's kind of what the goal of the game is. So this just makes things a little more complicated. Anyways, there's pros and cons here, but on the whole, I think it's a very good change. So a 6. And if you think it's great, give it a high 6. If you agree with me that there's some real sinkholes we might see here, and you're also a bit perturbed about them changing things after making all these changes, call it a low 6. There you go. Moving on, the CTP Reforged Pity gets an 8, would be a 9. Honestly, easily a 9 if I didn't know that people have been waiting for this forever, and it literally should have been introduced that the day that this Reforged system was added to the game, it should have been included as with a pity. It's psycho that this took so long to be put in the game. Borderline disrespectful because of how expensive these CTPs can be to make, but it is here now, so we'll give it an 8 instead of that 9, because they took their time, but there's nothing about this I could complain about. I could be greedy and say, oh, it should be 20 instead of 50. Maybe not. You know, like, you should have to try a few times to get one for free. These are the best custom gears in the game. So there you go. Epic Quest. Last thing, this is gonna be a nice long video today, actually. Epic Quest gets a 3, man. It's not good. And I'm gonna try to make this quick because I could actually go off on a whole other tangent here, a whole rant. This Epic Quest is bad. I bought it, and I don't regret buying it. I have a thing where I want all the characters in this game on my account. It's probably never gonna happen, but it's something I'm trying to do. So getting these characters now while they have any value, you know, Hades, Zeus in particular, I'm gonna be using Zeus in Alliance Battle, was fine for me, just because of my goals. But for most people, looking at this now, again, I have to leave the future out of this, but it is just not good. Hercules is terrible. Zeus is a good character, but too expensive for what he provides. Ares isn't really part of the Epic Quest. Venus is completely underwhelming and borderline useless because there's no PvP value here. Athena is good, but you don't need to buy the Epic Quest to get her. So when I'm scoring this Epic Quest, I'm including everything. The deluxe pack, the value you get for buying it, the base Epic Quest, the fact that you have to run like, I believe it's somewhere around 95,000 dimension missions to get this thing done. I'm exaggerating, it's not that much, but it's horrible. You have to run, I think it's 2 or 3 extra search missions for this Epic Quest over other ones. The fact that the main lead character is an absolute stinker. Absolute stinker. The fact that Zeus should have PvP value and doesn't. The fact that Hades, the Epic Quest or Deluxe Pack character, can't even eclipse the guy that he was meant to replace. It gets a 3. It's not great. It's just really not. There's a free P card in it. That's nice. Who knows how long that's going to take to farm. But yeah, a 3. So last thing is the presentation, and this was very standard, very dry. I'm not just being lazy here. I actually feel like I've been a bit generous here, and this is almost always gonna be a 5, but I'm gonna keep this here in case we get some really clutch sneak peeks. You'll get a better score. If we get some really bad sneak peeks and they're all slideshows, you might get a 4. The live streams tend to be average. So unless they're particularly bad or particularly good, we're going to stay right here in the pocket. This one was not particularly good. I wouldn't say it was particularly bad. One of the things I will point out that was a huge mistake on their part, in my opinion, is when they were presenting the Epic Quest. I'll try and be concise here. On the test account he was on, he already had a tier 4 Hercules. So when he unlocked Hercules on the live stream for the Epic Quest, it said character unlocked tier 4 Hercules, and was so confusing and made it look like the first native tier 4 in the game, which now is so laughable. But at the time we had no idea, and we were hyped and we were like, yeah, let's go, new Epic Quest. So it almost looked like he was the first native tier 4. Anyways, stuff like that is just confusing and they're not paying attention to it, but I won't dock points or anything for it. It was just, it's weird. It like misleads people sometimes. And the sneak peeks here were average, just average. The one for the Epic Quest was decent, but I'm gonna like be a little more critical here with this. It wasn't fantastic. It wasn't just a slideshow, but if you give us nothing but slideshows, you're not getting a 5. That's below average for the sneak team. Anyways, looking at our averages, we got 5.2 for the characters, 6.2 for the events, 6 for the game mode reworks, and 5 for the presentation, taking away our half a point for being D-bags, and we get 5.1, the overall score for Immortals of Olympus. And I gotta tell you guys really quick, I actually am unprepared for this, but I'm gonna pull it up even though this video is becoming grotesquely long, because I wanna be sure this is accurate before I say it, but I think this is actually the lowest scoring update that I've done one of these for. Granted, I've only done it for the last 3, I believe it is. No, excuse me. I'm sorry. Marvel Zombies scored worse because of the whole point getting taken away. Anyways, it's going to be a 5.1. Really quick, I want to do one more thing here. How could this have been much, much better? Well, easy. PvP viable, give him immortality. Give him immortality, dies pretty easy, but does some work. Viable now because we have PvP viability. This all of a sudden goes from a 3 to a 5 at worst. If this guy's was better than Loki, we could have been up in the 6, 7 category for this Epic Quest. Would have brought this score up an absolute metric ton. We could have had a better Crystal Vault maybe, but even here, this score is decent. This isn't a bad score for these events. Of course, the Epic Quest being better would have bumped this up a ton. If you look at the reworks here, the Epic Quest brought this score down so much. And then, of course, any kind of heat here between the live stream and the sneak peeks would have brought this score up for something more interesting. We're still waiting on our first 6, guys. Hopefully we get there soon. Like I've said, with the scoring system, you're not going to see a lot of like 8, 9, 10s because these are averages. And the way that averages work, we're usually going to be somewhere around the 4, 5, 6 area. All right, my friends, that's going to do it for this one. Hopefully you had fun. Really, we were just here to look back on this update, wrap the whole thing up, and then like I've said before, at the end of the year, this year it'll only be a couple of these 4 total that we'll take a look at, but we'll do a yearly wrap-up that'll be really fun where I'll look at all these reviews, we'll compare them, and stuff like that. All right, my friends, if you enjoyed this video, had a good time, go ahead, hit that like button. It helps us out a ton. If you want to see more videos like this, more guide videos, or the live stream series we do every day at 7:30 a.m. Pacific time, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell for notifications about those. I'm Old and Gray. This is free to play, and I hope every one of you has a spectacular day. We'll see you on the next one, guys. Take care.